everyone. My name is Hannah Bothner, and I am the Short Film Program Director for Tallgrass Film Festival. Today, I am here with Michael Gamarano Singleton, who is the director and writer of the film Denzel. Hello, Michael. Welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, I'm really excited to get to talk to you about your film today. My very first question for you is, what was your inspiration for making this film? What made you want to write this?
So there's a lot of dating reality show these days.
Hmm.
There was one in England which was about people with disabilities, specifically for them, and it was a dating agency that would match up people who were maybe struggling to meet other people because of maybe a disability they'd have, so they'd match them up. And I was watching this show and I just found it so endearing and so sweet. And there were two particular moments in this show. One of them, there was a guy who had severe autism and was really struggling with confidence and to speak. And his mum gave him these cue cards, and it was really cute. And they prompted him with these questions, and he'd be like, he would read the cue card and he'd look up, and I was like, oh my god, that's so cute. So that is in my film
Uh-huh.
Denzel. And then there's another one where a really sweet boy with Down syndrome who went on a date and didn't quite get what he wanted, and he came home to his dad and he just said, like, Dad, what's wrong with me? Like, is it because I've got Down syndrome? And his dad was like, No, you are like perfect as you are. Like, this is just dating. Like, this is it. And so I also took that and put it in, and then those between those two with a bit of like a twist and all this sort of stuff. That's how the story came about.
So where did the twist come from? Why did you decide to have like this other actor portraying that? I love the idea of like, going through life and being like, I'm gonna be this person that I love because that's who
Yeah,
gives me confidence.
well, I guess that just comes down to my personal taste as a writer is I don't want it to be obvious. I don't
Mm.
like obvious stuff. I want to keep the audience second guessing, and I don't want to give too much away because I want it to be something that surprises you. So I can't say too much, but I needed to give the story something
Mhm.
where it gives it an impactful ending, and usually it's to lead the audience one way, and at the end, like, oh well, no.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, how did you cast the film? Where did you find your actors?
So one of them is I got a casting director. I'm fortunate that I also work with a lot of actors. I teach like screen acting here in England. So Carl, who is the lead, he came to some of my classes. He works as at the moment he is Alexander Hamilton in
Oh,
Hamilton.
wow. That's
And
pretty incredible.
during the pandemic, he wasn't working because no one was. The theatre shut down, and he came to these classes because he was, oh, I'm just going to do screen. And I was like, oh, it's cool that you're Hamilton, but he also was great. So I was like, okay, tape for me, and he was great. And then some of the other roles as well was cast by my friend Alyssa Rogers, who is the casting director. And yeah, the casting director's so underrated and so important for films. It's like every production should get a casting director on board because their job is to know all the best actors for the part, and casting. Once you get the casting right, the process of filming on the day is so much easier, so much easier.
Absolutely. So, how did you direct your lead actor to portray the essentially like this embodiment of like confidence, but then also, I feel like if you when you go back and watch the film for a second time, knowing the truth, you do pick up on like these little like moments of you understand who he is being. Uh,
Yes.
how did you determine that? How did you work with your actor to create that?
Yeah, well, I told Carl just play it truthful and play it straight. The writing will do the rest. There's moments when he can't tie his shoelace, or he pronounces a name wrong,
Mhm.
or he's shy. But all I asked Carl to do, because initially when we had this conversation, Carl was going to play it a certain way that would have made it obvious for the
Mm.
audience. But I was like, that doesn't work because this is essentially another side of the character, so all he has to do is just play it as truthful and as straight as possible and trust that the writing will do the rest for him. And hopefully that worked.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you most, what about the film are you most proud of?
A couple things. One is giving opportunity to actors who potentially have never received that. So some of the actors at the end, that was their first TV credit, and
Oh
they've
yeah.
been auditioning, and there's no role, there's not a lot, enough roles for actors with disability. The woman right at the start of the day, she's actually deaf, and it's like it's meant to be like a hidden disability because it's like not every disability is visible. But it was important to cast actors who have disabilities but aren't given the opportunities to show their acting talent. So that's the first thing. And the second is the impact it's had on people, where people, friends or even like film festivals and messages I get to say, you made me cry like within 9 minutes, like you nearly brought me to tears. And it's just nice to know that a film is powerful enough in 9 minutes that it can move people.
Absolutely. Leads me right into my next question. What do you want people to take away from this film?
Yeah, you want people to always look inwards. Like, I mean, most filmmakers, I'd like to think, want people to not just watch the film and forget about it. It's something to take away. But it isn't just a film about disability, and it's a film about yourself, loving yourself, and accepting yourself, and not trying to be someone else. Just always just be yourself. So if I can get people to, first of all, think about how you view other people and what they might be going through. But secondly, is like to just be yourself. You don't have to be anyone else.
Absolutely. I'm always curious about this kind of thing. The main location seems to be like a pretty hoppin' restaurant. Was it difficult at all to nail that down? What is it like filming in a restaurant like that? I assume it's a working restaurant. It probably wasn't running during that day, but and then especially during the pandemic, working with extras and in a restaurant. What were some of the challenges around locations?
Well, a fun fact is it was all shot in one day.
Oh wow,
Yeah, so
pretty
the,
amazing.
the locations had to be close to each other because
Uh-huh.
it was and our producer Chris Kiriakou, he found all the locations for us, and they're all near his house. So the house that we filmed was his house,
No,
and then
cool.
the restaurant was a family friend of his, and then the pub was like I don't know if he knew someone, but it was like opposite. So it was all local. It was all in the local area. But the plus side of the pandemic is like the restaurant was currently closed and the pub wasn't busy at all because there's a pandemic going on. So they were like, well, as long as you clean the place up afterwards. So we got a lot of the locations for free or a very minimal fee because they weren't being used. The pandemic side of it,
Mhm.
oh, well, that was a nightmare because this was like now I don't know what it's like over there, but now we have like readily available testing, which is like
Mhm.
super easy. But we filmed this like last year, so we had to pay. It was around $300 per test.
Oh my
So we
gosh.
we had to really, because it's a low budget film, really like who needs a test and who doesn't. So the lead actors all needed tests because they're
Mhm.
going to be hugging and being next to each other. So we had to get all the testing done. But any of the other extras, like in the pub and the bar and all that sort of stuff, they all had to be apart from each other. And we had to be really smart with how we shot it. The only two people that were together were a couple. So in the UK, if you were like a household, you're allowed to still be together. So there's a man and a woman. They're a real couple, or they were a real couple. Everyone else is spread apart, but the way we shot it, it makes it look like in the original script, he goes up to the girl and starts talking to her, and she like pushes him away. But then was like, oh no, but she hasn't been tested, so we can't quite do that. So we
Oh,
had to
yeah.
shoot it where he's at the bar and she's at the chair, and we're shooting it so it looks like they're closer, but in reality they are, social distance. So
Uh-huh.
we just had to be clever with it. I'm sure like a lot of filmmakers had to do it. So the ideal would be to get everyone tested, but the budget just wasn't allowing it. So we just had to be clever and yeah, a bit smarter with it.
Yeah, the strange world of making films in a pandemic, but where the pandemic doesn't exist in the
Yeah,
film.
exactly.
Yeah.
We lived through it. The last thing I want to do is make another reference to the pandemic because I want to escape the pandemic right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of escaping the pandemic, let's talk about the future. What's next for you? What are you working on? Where can people see your other work or learn about things that you will announce in the future?
Yeah, so like as soon as Denzel was finished, like my producing partner Chris was like, okay, on to the next one. And within like a month, we'd already optioned a script, picked it up, and shot it last month.
Wow.
So yeah, so ready, the next one will be submitted very soon to the next festival.
Perfect. We open submissions in January, so just a few
Yeah,
more months.
yeah, that's what we're hoping for January. But it's another short film. This one is called Swim. My first short film was about homelessness. This was about disability. This one's about homophobia,
Hmm.
and it's two swimmers who meet at a swimming pool and they become friends. And nothing about sexuality or anything is mentioned. And one of them happens to be gay, and the other one isn't. And then the one who isn't suddenly has judgment when it was like, oh, they were friends when they're in the pool together, and now they're not. So it's to make people question their own thing and judgment and things like that. But we have like an amazing cast. We got Amari Douglas, who was in this huge TV series here called It's a Sin, which I think was on HBO, and there's another series called Sex Education, and we
Hmm.
have one of the actors called Chris Jenks. So we have like two really up and coming amazing actors who did a great job. And yeah, just in the edit, like literally, rough cut was getting done this week, and
Wow.
aiming for December, January, because there's a lot of like music and all this sorts of grade and things to be done. But there's an Instagram handle which is Mixing Productions. That's the production company, and that's where you can keep up to date. It's on Twitter and Instagram. Mixing Productions. You can keep up to date with all our projects. You know, with Denzel, old stuff, and even like Swim, which are the new stuff, and then all the hopefully future things as well, feature films.
Awesome. Well, that is very exciting to hear, and I can't wait to see what you guys have next. And thank you so much for taking some time today and speaking with us about your incredible film. And thanks to you all out there for tuning in and for supporting Tallgrass.
Thank you very much.